My name is John Christopher Fischer. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Army. I'm retired now. And I recall a Navy captain coming down to our compound in 68. And I saw him there and I said, "You looking for someone, Captain?" He looked at me and he said, "Yeah, I'm looking for my naval advisor." I said, "You found him." He said, "But you're an Army sergeant." And I said, "But I'm your naval advisor." And I had to explain to him how I came about being a naval advisor. So after that, he called me his Navy, he's my Navy sergeant. But we ran operations all up and down the Viet River. We worked with PBRs. We worked with some of the 9th Infantry Division gunboats on operations. I got in trouble a couple of times with a chief petty officer from a chief boatswain's mate from the Navy. He was kind of in charge, but he let me do what I wanted. So I ran any operation I wanted, never had to ask anybody for permission. I was doing what I darn well pleased. And we were going up to the Rumsat Special Zone, and we were taking SEALs up there. He got after me. He says, "I don't want you in the Rumsat Special Zone." He says, "You're going to get somebody killed or yourself killed or one of your boats sunk." He said, "It's dangerous up there." And I said, "I'm not worried. We got SEALs with us." And so we used to do that. And then we used to go up to Sock Trang. He didn't like that because it was a dangerous area. At night, we would go on night patrol with our boat. And we had a big LCM with real loud engines. And we acquired a Jeep from the Army with a night vision searchlight on it. And they would turn the searchlight on. You couldn't see it, but it would scan the shore, and with a special pair of binoculars, you could scan the shoreline and see if there was anybody out there, because it was almost like an infrared image would pop up. And the PBRs, the PBR base there at Mekong found out we were doing that. And so they said, "Well, we want in on the fun." So what we would do at night is we would take some PBRs and tow them behind us on a big rope, on a hawser. And they would have their engines on idle so nobody knew they were back there. And if we did, one or two times we got some activity. And as soon as we got activity, we had some firepower on our boat, and we were well armored, but we didn't have the speed of the PBRs. So the PBRs would drop off and start zipping around us like hornets and taking the contact on with 30 caliber machine guns. And we were shooting away with 50 caliber machine guns and 20 mike bikes. So that's some of the things we did. We just toured up and down the river there in the Mekong River looking for trouble. And every once in a while we'd find it. After the Tet Offensive of 1968, the Delta was quiet until, well, I was there until October '68. And the Delta was quiet. We didn't have very much activity. Very seldom did we get activity on the river at night. But before the Tet Offensive, we had all kinds of little sampans running up and down the river at night, and it was so dark down there you couldn't see anything. You look at your hand, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. We'd sit there tied up to the bank someplace and wait until we heard a sampan going down. And then all of a sudden we'd light it up with a flare and start shooting at it, and because there was a curfew, you're not supposed to be out at night in the dark. And every once in a while, we get secondary explosions from them where they were carrying ammunition or something. That was pretty much the extent of what we did. We didn't get into any big battles or anything. We used to take a lot of troops in. We did some ground operations. We did some foot patrols through some of the areas down there: Kai Lake, Kai Bay, Yao Dek, Vinh Long, and that's because the captain, the Vietnamese captain, Dai Huy Tum, that was my counterpart down there. That's what we call each other counterparts. And he called me his Kovan. But we would go down and he was a very aggressive man. He had been in the Navy for a long time. He had been fighting the Viet Cong and the NVA for a long time. And he was so aggressive that we were going out at night looking for trouble. And we would go out on the boats, or we'd go out, put the boat up on a shoreline someplace and go on a foot patrol. And he was trying to find somebody that would want to fight with us. And when we got into it, the boat was there to have the big guns. And we also had, down in Vung Tau, we had what they called Sea Wolves, which were the Navy Huey helicopters. The Sea Wolves would come in and give us air support. And in fact, one time we had one of our men pretty badly wounded. One of our Vietnamese soldiers was pretty badly wounded. And the medic said that we had to get him to a hospital or he'd die. So we called Sea Wolves, and one literally came in to our night boat and set his skids right down on the side of the night boat so that we could load our wounded man on there and get him out. And, well, the Sea Wolves were American sailors, Navy pilots, and their gunners were all Navy. A couple of times when we got caught in the canal in Yao Duc, Vinh Long was just like 5 miles down the river. And we'd call Vinh Long and get some gunships out of there to come in and give us a hand getting out of something that we shouldn't have gotten into. We never operated with any American forces other than that. Mostly it was all air support. And a couple of times we went with the 9th Infantry Division because we knew the canals. We would go with the Mobile Riverine Force up a couple of the canals or something, take them up there, and we liked them because their gunships really had some big stuff on them. They had 105 howitzers and they had flamethrowers, and so they could really lay down some suppressive fire. But generally we didn't operate with anybody but ourselves.